1. Alright, buckle up, car lovers, because we're about to take a deeper dive into this awesome 1965 Plymouth Valiant. You know, there's something special about these old-school Mopars, and this Valiant is no exception. Let's talk more about that sweet 273 cubic inch V8 engine. This power plant was a real game changer for Chrysler back in the day, offering a great balance of performance and reliability. With 273 horses under the hood, this Valiant's got plenty of get-up-and-go for both cruising and the occasional stoplight sprint. Now, I've got to geek out a bit about the body style. This AV2 coupe is a real head-turner. The 65 model year saw some styling updates that really set it apart from its predecessors. That hardtop roofline is sleek and sporty, and the ruby red paint job with the white roof? Chef's kiss. It's a classic color combo that never goes out of style. Let's chat about some of the upgrades, shall we? That aftermarket AC is a godsend for those hot summer cruises, and the oversized radiator with an electric fan? That's smart thinking, folks. It'll help keep that V8 running cool, even in stop-and-go traffic. The dual master brake cylinder is another great safety upgrade, giving you more reliable stopping power. I'm also digging the fact that they've overhauled the steering components and front-end suspension. That means this Valiant should handle like a dream, especially with those rear air shocks. It's got the classic car look with some modern driving dynamics. Best of both worlds, if you ask me. Now, I know some of you might be wondering about that odometer reading. 6,104 miles seems low for a car from 65, right? Well, it's likely that this odometer has rolled over at least once, maybe more. But hey, that's par for the course with classics like this. What matters is how well it's been maintained, and from the sounds of it, this Valiant has been shown a lot of love. Of course, no classic car is perfect, and this one's listed in good condition, not showroom new. That means you might find a few quirks or areas that could use a little TLC, but in my book, that's part of the fun of owning a classic. There's always a project waiting if you want it, or you can just enjoy it as is. For $15,000, you're getting a piece of American automotive history that's been thoughtfully updated for modern driving. Whether you're a dedicated Mopar fan or just someone who appreciates a cool classic, this 65 Valiant is worth a serious look. So, what do you think, gearheads? Are you ready to cruise in style with this ruby red beauty? Can't you just picture yourself behind the wheel, cruising down Main Street on a warm summer night? I don't know about you, but I'm getting all revved up just thinking about it. This Valiant isn't just a car. It's a time machine on wheels, ready to take you back to the golden age of American muscle. Who's ready for a test drive? 2. We're diving into a true classic that's popped up on Craigslist, a 1966 Lincoln Continental. This beauty is currently listed at $15,000, but the seller's open to serious offers. Let me tell you, this isn't just a car. It's a piece of American luxury history. Now picture this. A stately white sedan with those iconic suicide doors that just scream 1960s cool. Under the hood, you've got a powerful V8 engine, paired with an automatic transmission, making this rear-wheel drive beauty a smooth cruiser. The seller's being upfront about the mileage situation. The odometer shows 10,285, but with only 5 digits, it's likely rolled over once. So we're probably looking at 110,285 miles, give or take. But hey, that's just part of the mystery with these classics. Here's the scoop on its history. This Continental is a 2-owner car. The current owner's father-in-law bought it back in 1981 from the original owner, who was a close family friend. Talk about provenance! It's been in the family for over 40 years, which is pretty impressive. Now, I've got to be straight with you folks. This Lincoln hasn't been started in about 6 months, but don't let that scare you off. The seller says it used to run well, and her father-in-law kept up with the maintenance. That's a good sign, but you'll want to factor in some wake-up costs to get her purring again. The condition is listed as good, which is promising for a car of this age. It sounds like it's been well cared for over the years, but remember, good doesn't mean perfect. You might find some areas that need attention, but that's part of the charm with these old Luxo barges. One thing to keep in mind, the seller's asking for cash only and isn't interested in trades. They're also not entertaining lowball offers, so come prepared if you're serious about taking this piece of history home. So what do you say, classic car lovers? Are you ready to cruise in style with this 66 Continental? Just imagine rolling up to your next car, meet in this white beauty, suicide doors swinging open, turning heads left and right. It might need a little TLC to get road ready, but for the right enthusiast, this could be the start of an amazing restoration journey, or just a cool classic to enjoy as is. Remember, they're open to showing the car on weekends by appointment, so if you're in the area and this Lincoln's caught your eye, why not set up a viewing? Who knows? You might just drive away in a piece of automotive royalty. 3. We're taking a look at a real gem that's popped up on Craigslist, a 1982 Chevrolet Camaro Z28 that's sure to make your heart race. This beauty is currently listed at $14,000, and let me tell you, it's a time capsule on wheels. Now picture this, a sleek maroon metallic coupe with a silver gray interior that's practically begging you to hop in and hit the streets. This Z28 is packing the iconic Crossfire fuel injection 305 V8 engine paired with an automatic transmission for smooth cruising. And get this, it's only got 55,000 miles on the clock. That's incredibly low for a car that's been around for over 4 decades. The seller's not pulling any punches here, folks. They're listing this Camaro's condition as like new, and from the description, it's hard to argue. We're talking about a 2-owner car that's almost completely original. The only things that have been replaced are the battery, tires, and one each of the hood and trunk gas shocks. That's it. Talk about preservation. Inside, you've got all the creature comforts you could want from an 82 Z28. Power steering, power windows, power locks, and factory AC. And for you audio buffs, there's an AM/FM tape deck ready to blast your favorite 80s tunes. Now let's talk about condition. The seller rates the paint and body at 95% plus, which is phenomenal for a car of this age. The interior is described as being in excellent condition. And here's the kicker. They've got the original window sticker and lots of original documentation. That's like gold for collectors and enthusiasts. I've got to be honest with you all, finding a 3rd-gen Camaro in this kind of condition is getting rarer by the day. This Z28 seems to have been babied its entire life, and it shows. Of course, you'll want to see it in person to verify everything, but if it's as good as described, this could be a fantastic find for the right buyer. So, what do you say, Camaro fans? Are you ready to step back into 1982 with this stunning Z28? Imagine cruising down the strip, T-tops off. That Crossfire V8 rumbling, it's enough to give any car enthusiast goosebumps. Whether you're looking for a show car, a weekend cruiser, or just a perfectly preserved piece of American automotive history, this 82 Camaro Z28 could be your ticket to ride. Don't let this one slip away. 4. We're diving into a real classic that's popped up on Craigslist, a 1970 Oldsmobile Cutlass S. This beauty is up for grabs at $11,700, and let me tell you, it's a piece of automotive history that's sure to turn heads. Now picture this, a sleek Cutlass S with its original stainless trim, sporting a repaint from the 90s. Sure, the paint's a bit faded now, but here's the kicker. No dents and no rust. That's pretty impressive for a car pushing 50 years old. And get this, it's only got 62,000 original miles on the clock. Talk about a low mileage gem. Under the hood, you've got a stock engine paired with some sweet upgrades. We're talking a Holley 750 CFM carburetor sitting on an Edelbrock intake. That combo should give this old some serious get up and go. They've also thrown in an aluminum radiator to keep things cool, and disc brakes up front for better stopping power. Inside, you're greeted with bucket seats that have been reupholstered in leather. The center console's in good shape with no cracks, and the dashboard is straight and crack-free too. That's pretty rare for these old beauties. Now, I've got to be straight with you folks, it's not perfect. The vinyl top needs replacing, and there's some typical cosmetic wear like a little bumper rust and faded paint. But hey, that's part of the charm with these classics, right? The seller mentions that this Cutlass S might be a low production model, which could make it even more special. It's got those cool Cutlass S badges and the lower stainless trim below the doors. Originally, it was porcelain white with a black vinyl top and interior, a classic color combo. Here's the best part. This Olds runs and drives with no issues. It's all complete, which is getting harder to find these days. The engine and transmission are numbers matching too, which is a big deal for collectors. So, what do you say, classic car lovers? Are you ready to cruise in style with this 70 Cutlass S? It might need a little TLC to bring it back to showroom shine, but for the right enthusiast, this could be an awesome project or just a cool classic to enjoy as is. With its low miles, original features, and some tasteful upgrades, this Oldsmobile is just begging for a new home. Who's ready to take this piece of muscle car history for a spin? 5. We're taking a look at a true time capsule that's popped up on Craigslist, a 1974 Oldsmobile 98. This beauty is currently listed at $12,000 or best offer, and let me tell you, it's a slice of 70s luxury that's sure to turn heads. Now picture this, a pristine white coupe that's been garage kept for half a century. This Olds 98 has only 69,700 miles on the clock, which is incredibly low for a car that's been around for nearly 50 years. It's practically begging to cruise down memory lane. Here's the scoop. This was a one-owner car until recently. The current seller picked it up from the original owner and has only added 700 miles to it. Talk about a well-preserved piece of automotive history. Under the hood, you've got a V8 engine paired with an automatic transmission, delivering that smooth, effortless power that these old luxury boats are known for. And get this, it's smog exempt, which is a nice bonus for you California folks. Now, I've got to be straight with you. It's not absolutely perfect, but it's pretty darn close for a car of this age. The 8-track player and radio need a fuse to work, but hey, that's an easy fix. Everything else seems to be in great shape. The power antenna works, all the windows function, and there are no leaks or oil burning issues. Plus, it's got new tires and brakes, so it's ready to hit the road. One of the coolest things about this Olds is its pristine interior. It's never been smoked in, and no pets or kids have ever been inside. That's pretty rare for a car from the 70s. The seller describes the condition as good, and from the sounds of it, that might be an understatement. This Oldsmobile 98 has been babied its entire life, garage kept for 50 years, and gently driven. It's the kind of find that makes car enthusiasts weak in the knees. So, what do you say? Classic luxury car lovers? Are you ready to step back in time with this 74 Olds 98? Imagine cruising down Main Street, floating on that cushy suspension, surrounded by all that 70s style and comfort. Whether you're looking for a show car, a weekend cruiser, or just a perfectly preserved piece of American automotive history, this Oldsmobile 98 could be your ticket to ride. Don't let this time machine on wheels slip away. 6. We're checking out a real gem on Craigslist, a 1977 Chevrolet El Camino that's sure to get your motor running. This beauty is up for grabs at a firm $15,000, and let me tell you, it's a sweet ride that's begging for a new home. Picture this, a sleek blue El Camino with those original California blue plates, just oozing with 70s style. Under the hood, you've got a 350 V8 that's ready to rumble. The seller says it runs strong, and with only 91K original miles, this baby's just getting broken in. Now, here's where it gets interesting. This El Camino's not just a pretty face, it's a reliable daily driver. The owners kept it well maintained with professional mechanics, so you know it's been cared for right. They've even upgraded it with a California-compliant Edelbrock cam and lifter kit. That's a nice touch that should give it a bit more pep in its step while keeping the smog police happy. But let's be real here, folks. This isn't a perfect show truck, and the seller's upfront about that. There's some body rust in the bed and at the base of the rear window, plus a slight rip in the top of the front bumper. The sellers included photos of the worst of it, so you know exactly what you're getting. That's the kind of honesty we love to see. On the bright side, it's got no dents, and they've recently slapped on some new BF Goodrich tires. It's past smog, has a clean title, and is ready to roll. Here's the kicker. This El Camino loves to drive. It's not just a pretty face sitting in a garage. It's a smooth operator that's been used as it should be. The seller's only parting with it because they need 4 seatbelts for the family. Their loss could be your gain. So, what do you say, classic car lovers? Are you ready to cruise in style with this '77 El Camino? It might need a little TLC to bring it back to showroom shine, but for the right enthusiast, this could be an awesome daily driver or weekend cruiser. Imagine rolling up to your local car meet in this beauty, V8 rumbling, heads turning. It's not perfect, but it's got character. And isn't that what we love about these classics? Remember, the seller's firm on the price and isn't interested in trades. So if you're serious about taking this piece of Chevy history home, give them a shout. Who knows? You might just be the next lucky owner of this cool blue El Camino. 7. We're diving into a real piece of automotive history that's popped up on Craigslist, a 1967 Cadillac Fleetwood. This big old beauty is up for grabs at $7,500, and let me tell you, it's got some stories to tell. Now, I've got to be straight with you folks. This isn't your typical pristine classic. The seller's description is pretty bare bones, which leaves a lot to the imagination. But hey, sometimes that's part of the fun, right? Here's what we do know. This '67 Fleetwood runs and drives. That's a great start for a car that's over half a century old. The odometer shows 91,999 miles. But with these old cars, who knows if that's the first or second time around the clock? Now here's where it gets interesting. The seller mentions that this caddy has been part of local Halloween parades. That's got me wondering what kind of customizations we're dealing with here. Is it decked out in spooky decorations? Has it been turned into some kind of monster mobile? The possibilities are endless, and that's kind of exciting. The seller says it looks so cool, which is pretty subjective, but it definitely piques my curiosity. They also mention that it can be customized by you, which suggests it might be a bit of a blank canvas. Or maybe it's already customized and ready for your personal touch. I've got to be honest though, with such a brief description and no mention of condition, you'll definitely want to give this Fleetwood a thorough inspection before making any decisions. It could be anything from a solid project car to a quirky daily driver, depending on what's been done to it and how well it's been maintained. But here's the thing. Cadillac lovers, a '67 Fleetwood is a fantastic starting point for any project. These cars were the epitome of luxury in their day, with smooth rides, powerful engines, and enough chrome to blind oncoming traffic. Even if it needs some work, you're starting with a piece of American automotive royalty. So, what do you say? Are you ready for an adventure with this mysterious 1967 Cadillac Fleetwood? It might not be the pristine show car some folks are after, but for the right enthusiast, this could be the start of something really cool. Whether you're looking to restore it to its former glory, continue its career as a parade star, or turn it into something completely unique, this caddy's got potential. Just remember, with classics like these, always expect the unexpected. 8. We're taking a look at a real blast from the past that's popped up on Craigslist, a 1974 Plymouth Valiant. This red beauty is up for grabs at $4,500 or best offer, and let me tell you, it's a piece of automotive history that's begging for a new home. Now, I've got to be straight with you folks. This isn't a perfect show car, but it's got a lot going for it. The seller's description is pretty brief, but let's break down what we know. First off, this Valiant is rocking a straight-six engine paired with an automatic transmission. That's a combo known for reliability, and decent fuel economy, even by today's standards. The seller says it runs and drives well, which is always good news for a car pushing 50 years old. Here's the catch though, it needs a radiator. That's not a deal breaker by any means, but it's something you'll want to factor into your budget if you're thinking about taking this baby home. On the bright side, the seller describes it as clean inside and out. That's pretty impressive for a car from the 70s. A lot of these old cars have interiors that look like they've been through a war, so a clean interior is definitely a plus. Another positive point, it's got good tires. That might not seem like a big deal, but hey, that's one less thing you'll need to worry about right off the bat. The condition is listed as good, which is promising. But remember, good for a nearly 50-year-old car might not mean the same thing as good for a newer vehicle. You'll definitely want to give it a thorough once-over in person. So, what do we have here? A running and driving 74 Valiant with a clean title, good tires, and a clean interior and exterior. It needs a radiator, but that's a relatively simple fix for most shade tree mechanics. For $4,500, or possibly less if you negotiate, this could be a great entry-level classic for someone looking to dip their toes into the world of vintage Mopars. It's not going to win any concours events as is, but it could be a fun weekend cruiser or a solid starting point for a restoration project. 9. We're diving into a real gem that's popped up on Craigslist, a 1982 Chevrolet Corvette. This silver beauty is up for grabs at $9,500, and let me tell you, it's a piece of American sports car history that's sure to turn heads. Now picture this, a sleek 82 Vetta with 96,000 miles on the clock. That's not bad at all for a car pushing 40 years old. Under the hood, you've got that classic V8 engine paired with an automatic transmission, giving you that perfect blend of power and cruising comfort. The seller's not pulling any punches here, folks. They're describing this Corvette as real nice. And from the sounds of it, they're not exaggerating. Let's break it down. First off, you've got power steering, power brakes, power windows, and power seats. All the conveniences you could want in a classic sports car. And here's a big plus, the air conditioning blows cold. They've just had it charged, so you'll be cruising in comfort even on those hot summer days. Inside, the interior and carpets are described as nice, and there's a custom steering wheel to add a personal touch. They've upgraded the stereo to a new unit with CD and Bluetooth, so you can blast your favorite tunes while you're cruising down the highway. Mechanically, this Vetta seems to be in great shape. New brakes, a fresh tune-up, and the seller says everything works. It runs and drives great, which is music to any classic car enthusiast's ears. Now, I've got to be honest with you, the paint is old, but the seller says it still looks presentable, which is pretty good for original paint on a 40-year-old car. It might not be show quality, but it sounds like it's still eye-catching. So, what do we have here? A well-maintained 82 Corvette with some nice upgrades, good mechanicals, and a comfortable interior. It's not a perfect museum-quality piece, but it sounds like a fantastic driver that you could enjoy right away. For $9,500, this could be a great entry into the world of classic Corvettes. Imagine cruising down the strip, T-tops off, that V8 rumbling. It's enough to give any car enthusiast goosebumps. 10. We've got a real treat for you, a 1966 Buick Riviera that's been hidden away in a warehouse for the past 8 years. This classic beauty is located in Chino, California, and is up for grabs at just $12,000 or best offer. Now, let's talk about the condition of this Riviera. The seller mentions that it's a barn find, which means it's been sitting untouched for quite some time. However, they've recently done some work to get it running again, including rebuilding the carburetor, cleaning the radiator, replacing the fuel pump, spark plugs, and changing the oil and filter. So, while it may have some signs of age, it seems like it's in good enough shape to get back on the road with a little TLC. Under the hood, you'll find a powerful 425 cubic inch nailhead V8 engine, which is paired with an automatic transmission. This Riviera is a true Grand Sport GS model, meaning it's got some extra performance features that set it apart from the standard Riviera. The exterior is finished in a striking red paint color, and it's riding on a set of 17-inch Craigslist wheels that give it a classic muscle car look. The odometer shows 88,900 miles, which is relatively low for a car of this age. Now, I want to be completely honest with you. While the seller describes the condition as good, it's important to keep in mind that this is a 55-year-old car that's been sitting for a long time. It may have some rust, dents, or other issues that aren't immediately apparent. However, if you're looking for a project car or a classic cruiser to tinker with on the weekends, this Riviera could be a great option. The seller also mentions that they have 2 other Rivieras available, as well as some complete engines and transmissions. So, if you're a Buick enthusiast or just love classic cars, this could be a great opportunity to pick up a piece of automotive history. Overall, while this 1966 Buick Riviera may not be in perfect condition, it's still a stunning example of 1960s American muscle. With a little work and some elbow grease, it could be a real head-turner at car shows and on the street. If you're in the market for a classic car project, be sure to check out this Riviera in Chino, California. Who knows? It could be the start of a beautiful friendship between you and this iconic Buick. 11. We've got a real blast from the past. A 1950 Packard Custom 8 that's up for grabs on Craigslist. This classic beauty is being offered at just $9,000 or trade for a 16/18F enclosed double-axle trailer. First things first, let's talk about the condition of this Packard. The seller describes it as being in good condition, which is always a positive sign. However, it's important to keep in mind that this is a 71-year-old car, so it may have some wear and tear that comes with age. The seller does mention that it has a mostly new interior, which is a big plus. Under the hood, you'll find the original inline 8 engine, which is paired with a 2-speed Ultramatic automatic transmission. The seller notes that it runs great, which is always music to a car enthusiast's ears. The exterior of the car is riding on a set of new white wall tires, which really add to the classic look of this Packard. It also comes with some optional features, including fog lights and rear seat floor shoe blocks. Now let's talk about the mileage. The odometer shows 79,955 miles, which is relatively low for a car of this age. However, it's important to keep in mind that odometers can be reset or replaced over time, so it's always a good idea to verify the actual mileage with the seller. One thing that really stands out about this Packard is that it comes with both a repair manual and an operation manual. This is a huge plus for anyone who likes to work on their own cars or wants to learn more about the inner workings of this classic beauty. Now, I want to be completely honest with you. While the seller describes the car as being in good condition, it's always a good idea to inspect it in person before making a purchase. Look for any signs of rust, damage, or wear and tear that may not be immediately apparent in the photos. The seller is only considering offers in person, which is completely understandable. This gives potential buyers a chance to see the car up close and personal, and to ask any questions they may have. Overall, this 1950 Packard Custom 8 is a real piece of automotive history. It's got a classic look, a powerful engine, and some great optional features. If you're in the market for a vintage car that's sure to turn heads, this Packard is definitely worth checking out. Just be sure to do your due diligence and inspect it thoroughly before making a decision. 12. We've got a real gem from the 1960s, a 1967 Ford Galaxie 500 that's up for grabs on Craigslist. This classic beauty is being offered at $12,500 or best cash offer. First things first, let's talk about the condition of this Galaxie 500. The seller describes it as being in good condition, which is always a positive sign. They mention that it has a nice body with decent paint, which suggests that it may have been repainted at some point. The black interior is also described as decent, along with the exterior bright work. Under the hood, you'll find a beefy 460 cubic inch V8 engine, which is paired with an automatic transmission. This combination should provide plenty of power and a smooth driving experience. Now, it's important to note that the seller does mention that the car needs some finishing touches to get it on the road. This could mean a variety of things, from minor cosmetic issues to more significant mechanical work. It's always a good idea to get a thorough inspection done before making a purchase, especially on a car that's over 50 years old. One thing that really stands out about this Galaxy 500 is that it's a two-door hardtop model. This is a highly desirable body style among collectors and enthusiasts, as it provides a sleek and sporty look that's sure to turn heads. The paint color is described as red, which is a classic choice for a muscle car like this. It's a bold and vibrant color that really makes the car stand out. Now, I want to be completely honest with you. While the seller describes the car as being in good condition, it's always a good idea to see it in person and inspect it thoroughly before making a decision. Look for any signs of rust, damage, or wear and tear that may not be immediately apparent in the photos. The seller is asking for $12,500 or best cash offer, which seems like a fair price for a classic car like this in good condition. However, it's always a good idea to do your research and compare prices on similar models before making an offer. Overall, this 1967 Ford Galaxy 500 is a real piece of American muscle car history. It's got a powerful engine, a desirable body style, and a classic red paint job. While it may need some finishing touches to get it on the road, it could be a great project car for someone who loves to tinker and restore classic vehicles. 13. We've got a real stunner from the 1950s. A 1951 Plymouth Concord business coupe that's been heavily modified and is up for grabs on Craigslist. This unique ride is being offered at $15,000 cash, and the seller is not interested in trades. First things first, let's talk about the condition of this Concorde. The seller describes it as being in good condition, which is always a positive sign. However, it's important to note that this is not a completely original car. It's been heavily modified with a variety of modern upgrades and custom parts. Under the hood, you'll find a rebuilt 318 cubic inch V8 engine that's been bored out 0.03 aero and features a variety of high-performance parts, including a Comp Cam's high-energy cam and lifter kit, polished crank, Hedman headers, Mopar valve covers, and an Edelbrock intake and 4-barrel carburetor. This combination should provide plenty of power and a thrilling driving experience. The transmission is an A903 3-speed automatic that was rebuilt at the same time as the engine and features a low-car floor shifter. The rear end is a Ford 8.8 Posey differential with 3.73 gears, which should provide great traction and acceleration. Other modern upgrades include a new aluminum radiator, vintage Air Compact Gen 2 AC system, 4-wheel disc brakes, an Ididit tilt steering column, classic instrument gauges, a Ron Francis wiring harness, an Aurora Design FMC2 AM/FM radio with Bluetooth USB, and Kicker CS6 speakers. The exterior of the car has been painted a custom color and rides on a set of Riddler 15X7 Silvermach wheels with Nexen ST22575R 15 tires that have approximately 3,000 miles on them. The seller notes that the engine and transmission have less than 6,700 miles on the clock since the rebuild, which is relatively low mileage. One thing to keep in mind is that the interior of the car is not completely finished. The seller mentions that it needs to be finished the way the buyer wants it, which could be a fun project for someone who enjoys customizing their ride. The car comes with a clear Texas title in the seller's name and lots of receipts for all the work that has been done to it. Now, I want to be completely honest with you. While the seller describes the car as being in good condition, it's always a good idea to inspect it in person and and take it for a test drive before making a decision. With so many custom parts and modifications, it's important to make sure everything is in good working order and that the car drives and handles well. Overall, this 1951 Plymouth Concord Business Coupe is a unique and eye-catching ride that's sure to turn heads wherever it goes. It's got a powerful engine, modern upgrades, and a custom look that sets it apart from other classic cars. 14. We've got a real classic from the 1970s, a 1977 Cadillac Seville that's up for grabs on Craigslist. This luxury sedan is being offered at $10,000 or trade for a manual transmission car or truck. First things first, let's talk about the condition of this Seville. The seller describes it as being in good condition, which is always a positive sign. The body is finished in a gentleman's dark blue color, which gives it a sleek and sophisticated look. One unique feature of this Seville is the trunk, which is decorated with a stainless steel strap and starts with just one button. This is a cool touch that adds some extra style and convenience to the car. Now, it's important to note that the seller does mention that the odometer is broken. This means that the actual mileage of the car is unknown. The odometer currently shows 5,888 miles, but it's unclear if this is accurate or not. It's always a good idea to get a thorough inspection done before making a purchase, especially on a car that's over 40 years old. Under the hood, you'll find a gas-powered engine that's paired with an automatic transmission. Cadillac was known for producing powerful and smooth-running engines during this era, so this Seville should provide a comfortable and enjoyable driving experience. The interior of the car is not mentioned in the ad, so it's unclear what condition it's in. It's always a good idea to ask the seller for more photos or information about the interior before making a decision. Now, I want to be completely honest with you. While the seller describes the car as being in good condition, it's always a good idea to see it in person and inspect it thoroughly before making a purchase. Look for any signs of rust, damage, or wear and tear that may not be immediately apparent in the photos. The seller is asking for $10,000 or trade for a manual transmission car or truck. This is a fairly high price for a car of this age and condition, so it's important to do your research and compare prices on similar models before making an offer. If you have a manual transmission car or truck that you're willing to trade, this could be a good opportunity to get your hands on a classic Cadillac. Overall, this 1977 Cadillac Seville is a real piece of American luxury car history. It's got a sleek and sophisticated look, a unique trunk feature, and a gas-powered engine with an automatic transmission. While the broken odometer and unknown interior condition are potential red flags, this car could still be a great project for someone who loves classic Cadillacs and has the time and resources to give it the love and attention it deserves. 15. We've got a real classic muscle car from the late 1970s, a 1979 Pontiac Trans Am that's up for grabs on Craigslist. This iconic ride is being offered at $14,900, and it's got some serious potential for the right buyer. First things first, let's talk about the condition of this Trans Am. The seller doesn't explicitly state the overall condition, but they do mention that it needs some TLC. This could mean a variety of things, from minor cosmetic issues to more significant mechanical work. It's always a good idea to get a thorough inspection done before making a purchase, especially on a car that's over 40 years old. One major positive about this Trans Am is that the seller states it has no rust. Rust can be a major issue on classic cars, especially those from the 1970s, so this is definitely a good sign. However, it's still a good idea to inspect the car thoroughly for any signs of hidden rust or damage. Under the hood, you'll find a big block V8 engine, which should provide plenty of power and that classic muscle car sound. The transmission is an automatic, which may be a plus or minus depending on your personal preference. The odometer reading is listed as 180,000 miles, but the seller also notes that the odometer is broken. This means that the actual mileage of the car is unknown, and it could be higher or lower than what's shown. Again, this is something to keep in mind when considering this car. The seller mentions that the car runs and drives, which is always a good sign. They also note that it has new rims and tires, which is a nice bonus. Additionally, the seller has a brand new set of original rims available, which could be a great option for someone who wants to restore the car to its original look. The title for this Trans Am is listed as clean, which is always a positive sign. However, it's still a good idea to verify this with the seller and do your own research to make sure there are no hidden issues or liens on the car. Now, I want to be completely honest with you. While this 1979 Pontiac Trans Am has some great potential, it's important to go into this purchase with your eyes wide open. The fact that it needs some TLC and has an unknown actual mileage means that there could be some significant work and expenses involved in getting this car up to par. That being said, if you're a skilled mechanic or have experience with classic car restoration, this Trans Am could be a great project car. With some time, effort, and investment, you could have a seriously cool and valuable muscle car on your hands. The asking price of $14,900 is fairly high for a car in this condition, so it's important to do your research and compare prices on similar models before making an offer. You may be able to negotiate a lower price based on the work that needs to be done and the unknown mileage. Overall, this 1979 Pontiac Trans Am is a real piece of American muscle car history. It's got a big block V8 engine, no rust, and some nice bonus features like new rims and tires. While it does need some TLC and has an unknown actual mileage, it could be a great project car for the right buyer. 16. We've got a classic 1974 Chevrolet Camaro up for grabs on Craigslist. The seller is asking $9,500 firm, and they're open to trading for a newer vehicle. Now, let's dive into the details. This Camaro is a coupe with a clean title on hand. It's got an automatic transmission and an 8-cylinder engine that the seller says runs well. They even have a video to prove it. However, it's important to note that the odometer is broken, so the actual mileage is unknown. The seller estimates it to be around 300,000 miles, but that's just a guess. As for the condition, the seller admits that there is rust on the body, which is pretty common for a car of this age. But they also mention that the body is still intact, so it's not falling apart by any means. The paint color is listed as custom, so it's unclear what shade it is exactly. Overall, this 1974 Camaro seems to be in fair condition considering its age. It's got some rust, and the odometer is broken, but the engine runs, and the body is still in one piece. If you're looking for a classic car project or just want a cool old-school ride, this Camaro might be worth checking out. Just keep in mind that it's going to need some work and be prepared to pay the full $9,500 asking price in cash. As always, I recommend getting a thorough inspection done by a trusted mechanic before making any big decisions. And don't forget to take it for a test drive to see how it feels on the road. 17. All right, let's take an even deeper dive into this 1954 Ford Crestline. As a car enthusiast, I know how important it is to get all the details before making a decision on a classic vehicle like this one. First off, let's talk about the history of the Ford Crestline. This model was introduced in 1952 as part of Ford's mid-range lineup, sitting between the base mainline and the top-tier custom line. The Crestline was known for its more upscale features and styling, including a chrome side spear and a more luxurious interior. It was available in several body styles, including a 2-door and 4-door sedan, a 2-door hardtop, and even a convertible. Now, let's get back to the specific Crestline we're looking at today. The seller mentions that it has a rare 239 V8 engine, which was a popular choice for Ford vehicles in the mid-1950s. This engine was known for its power and reliability, making it a great option for those who want a classic car that can still keep up with modern traffic. The Ford-O-Matic automatic transmission is another great feature of this Crestline. It was Ford's first automatic transmission, introduced in 1951, and it was a significant improvement over earlier automatic transmissions. It provided a smooth, effortless driving experience that was perfect for cruising around town or hitting the open road. One thing to keep in mind with a classic car like this is that it may require some ongoing maintenance and care. While the seller notes that it runs, drives, and stops, it's always a good idea to have a trusted mechanic take a look at it before making a purchase. They can identify any potential issues and give you a better idea of what to expect in terms of future repairs and upkeep. Another factor to consider is the car's interior. The seller doesn't provide many details about the inside of the Crestline, so it's worth asking for more photos or even arranging a viewing if possible. You'll want to make sure that the seats, dashboard, and other interior components are in good condition and don't require any major repairs or replacements. Overall, this 1954 Ford Crestline seems like a solid choice for anyone in the market for a classic car. Its combination of style, power, and history make it a standout option, and the fact that it's being offered at a reasonable price point of $8,000 is definitely a plus. Just be sure to do your due diligence and thoroughly inspect the car before making a final decision. 18. We've got a real treat for you. A gorgeous 1964 Ford Thunderbird that's currently up for sale on Craigslist. If you're in the market for a vintage ride that oozes style and luxury, this might just be the one for you. Let's start with the basics. This Thunderbird is a 1964 model, which means it's part of the fourth generation of this iconic American car. The seller mentions that it's in very clean condition and runs smoothly, which is always a great sign when you're dealing with a classic vehicle. One of the most impressive things about this Thunderbird is its low mileage. With just 56,000 miles on the odometer, it's clear that this car has been well cared for over the years. The seller also notes that it's been garage kept, which has helped to protect it from the elements and keep it in pristine condition. Now, let's talk about the recent work that's been done on this Thunderbird. The seller mentions that over $8,000 has been invested in maintenance and upgrades, and that records are available to prove it. This is a huge plus, as it shows that the car has been properly maintained and is ready for the road. Of course, we can't talk about a classic Thunderbird without mentioning its timeless design. This 1964 model is finished in a sleek black color that perfectly complements its curves and lines. It's the kind of car that turns heads wherever it goes, and it's sure to be a standout at any car show or event. But this Thunderbird isn't just a pretty face. It's also a joy to drive. The seller notes that it offers a smooth, powerful ride that's sure to put a smile on your face every time you get behind the wheel. And with a manual transmission, you'll have full control over the car's performance. Now, let's talk about the price. This Thunderbird is listed at $14,500, which may seem like a lot at first glance. However, when you consider the car's excellent condition, low mileage, and recent maintenance, it starts to look like a pretty good deal. Classic cars like this one are only going to become more valuable over time, so it could be a smart investment for the right buyer. Of course, as with any classic car purchase, it's important to do your due diligence before making a decision. Be sure to inspect the car thoroughly, take it for a test drive, and review any available maintenance records. If everything checks out though, this 1964 Ford Thunderbird could be the classic car of your dreams. In summary, if you're looking for a vintage ride that combines style, luxury, and performance, this 1964 Ford Thunderbird is definitely worth checking out. With its clean condition, low mileage, and recent maintenance, it's a standout option in the classic car market. So why not take a closer look and see if this Thunderbird is the one for you? 19. We've got an interesting find on Craigslist, a 1971 Dodge Challenger that's looking for a new home. Now, before we dive in, I want to be completely honest with you. This Challenger isn't in perfect condition, but it could be a great project car for the right enthusiast. Let's start with the good stuff. This Challenger is a 1971 model, which means it's part of the first generation of this iconic muscle car. It's got a clean title in the seller's name, which is always a plus when you're buying a classic car. The seller also mentions that the body is solid with no rust, which is a huge deal for a car that's over 50 years old. Now, let's talk about the not-so-good stuff. The seller admits that the car runs rough and has some issues with the brakes. Specifically, whenever the brakes are pressed, the car cuts off. This could be a sign of a serious problem, and it's definitely something that will need to be addressed before the car can be driven safely. It's clear that this Challenger needs some work, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. For the right person with the knowledge and skills to tackle these issues, this could be a great project car. The seller mentions that they're not a mechanic and don't know exactly what's wrong with the car, so it will take some diagnostic work to figure out what needs to be fixed. One thing to keep in mind is that the seller is motivated to sell the car quickly. They mention that they need it gone today, which could be an opportunity for a buyer to negotiate a lower price. However, it's important to approach this situation with caution and not let the sense of urgency cloud your judgment. The seller also mentions that they're located in Idaho Falls and are willing to deliver the car if needed. This could be a great option for a buyer who's not local but is still interested in the car. Now let's talk about the price. The seller is asking $9,500 for this Challenger, which may seem like a lot for a car that needs work. However, when you consider the potential value of a fully restored 1971 Challenger, it starts to look like a more reasonable price. These cars are highly sought after by collectors and enthusiasts, and a well-done restoration could easily fetch tens of thousands of dollars. Of course, as with any project car, it's important to do your due diligence before making a purchase. If possible, try to see the car in person and get a sense of the scope of the work that needs to be done. It may also be worth bringing along a mechanic or someone with experience working on classic cars to help assess the situation. In summary, this 1971 Dodge Challenger is a bit of a mixed bag. On one hand, it's a solid, rust-free example of an iconic muscle car. On the other hand, it needs some significant work to get it running and driving properly. For the right buyer with the skills and resources to take on this project, it could be a great opportunity to own a piece of American automotive history. Just be sure to approach the situation with a clear head and a realistic understanding of what you're getting into. 20. We're diving into a classic beauty that's up for grabs on Craigslist. Feast your eyes on this 1966 Chevrolet Chevelle, priced at a cool $15,000. Now, I know what you're thinking. Is this car really worth the asking price? Well, let's take a closer look and find out. First off, the seller claims that this Chevelle is in excellent condition, and based on the description, it seems to check out. With just 27,800 original miles on the odometer, this car is practically a time capsule. The ad mentions that it's an unrestored survivor with all original paint and interior, which is a rare find for a vehicle that's over 50 years old. The fact that it's always been garaged and well maintained is a testament to the owner's dedication to preserving this classic. Under the hood, you'll find a great running 283 V8 engine, paired with an automatic transmission, which should provide a smooth and powerful driving experience. The car also comes equipped with power steering and air conditioning, making it a comfortable cruiser for those summer road trips. The seller has recently invested in some updates, including new tires, a new fuel tank, fuel pump, battery, and a dual exhaust system. Plus, the car has had a recent tune-up, ensuring that it's ready to hit the road without any issues. Now here's the kicker. The car comes with its original owner's manual, Protect O-Plate, and sales invoice. These extras add to the vehicle's provenance and make it an even more attractive purchase for collectors. In summary, if the description is accurate and the car is indeed in excellent condition, then the 1966 Chevrolet Chevelle seems to be a solid buy at $15,000. The low mileage, original features, and well-maintained condition make it a rare find in today's market. However, as with any used car purchase, it's always a good idea to inspect the vehicle in person and have a trusted mechanic give it a once-over before making a final decision.